Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Ad America TV. Back again with me, Fifi, and I want to welcome all of our audience and members joining us online this morning. I hope you guys are doing well and, of course, staying safe during this pandemic of COVID-19. And for those of you guys who are joining for the first time with us right now, I want to remind you one more time that Ad America is the U.S. Embassy American Center here in Jakarta, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. And yes, we're temporarily moved to a solely digital platform, but don't worry, you can still enjoy us from the comfort of your own home. And this morning, we're going to discuss about our future spaces, how interior design is changing in the time of Corona. And before I start the event, I'd like to break the ice with a little game. As usual, I have the question for today's event, and the question is, Which American designer is known for their prairie style? Is it A. Michael S. Smith, B. Elsie DeWolf, or C. Martin Lawrence Ballard, D. Frank Lloyd Wright? Okay, you guys can answer the question by just drop your answer at the comment box for each platform of our social media. And goes the same with if you guys wanna leave your question for the Q&A section later on, just leave your question at the comment box for each platform. And don't forget to take a selfie and tag at America's Instagram account during this event. All right, I think that's it for me. I'll see you guys again at the end of the event. And now, let's just start the event. I'd like to pass it to our moderator for today. Please welcome Ibu Linagan, Editor-in-Chief, Indonesia Design Magazine. The floor is yours.
Hello, Fifi, and everyone at America team. Thank you for having me today. To all of our viewers, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lina Gan, the Editor-in-Chief of Indonesia Design Magazine. Today, we will discuss how the pandemic has changed our lifestyle and daily activities. One thing is in common for sure is that we get to spend a lot of our time at home now. We can do our work from home. We get to watch our children go to school from home, and some of us also take new hobbies like gardening or cycling. So we get to notice many areas around the house and we find many clothes. And at the same time, we also need to create new spaces to accommodate our new hobbies. I know many of my friends and acquaintances have renovated their homes and offices. And now when we do go out, instead of being in a closed aircon room like we used to, especially here in Indonesia, now we prefer to be at places with more indoor ventilations and outdoor facilities. Here with us are the three experts who will share how the pandemic changes the design world, architecturally and interior. We will hear how they approach on designing current and future home, office, and hotel. Each of the designers earned their degrees in the US. All of them have lived and worked in different parts in the US as well. Although each of them will share different functions today, they have a lot of experiences in designing all kinds of projects. So by the end of the talk, all of us will learn on how to plan or renovate our home, office, or perhaps apartment and hotel buildings. We will also have question and answer session at the end of the talk. So guys, please have your questions ready. Well, let me introduce you to all of our experts. First is Alex Bayusaputro. He is the founder and managing partner of Genius Loci that have operations in 6 cities and 4 different countries. Alex went to Fashion Institute of Technology and then he continued to Parsons School of Design in New York City in 1992. After working several years in the US, he went to Singapore in 1997 for coming back home. With over 29 years of experience in the field of interior design and architecture, the firm has won numerous awards and recognition, both regionally and internationally. To name a few are Design et al. And Architecture Awards in London, Design Excellence Award and Government SME Award in Singapore, A Design Award in Lake Como, Italy, and in 2018, 2 of the firm projects were nominated for World Architecture Festival Insight Award in Amsterdam. And the latest one in September and November 2019, another project was nominated for the Property Guru Award for the Southeast Asia region. And our second expert for today is Santi Alaysius. She's the co-founder of Domilisium Studio. It's an interior design company based in Jakarta and also the MDO, a product and exhibition design company. Santi also teaches at LaSalle College in Jakarta. Santi obtained a Bachelor of Arts in Fashion Marketing and Management from the Art Institute of Seattle in 2002 and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Interior Architecture from the Illinois Institute of Art in Chicago in 2005. Both she graduated as summa cum laude. Her work in the US began at Tom Felicia Incorporated in New York in 2004, where she was involved in designing US Pavilion for the World's Fair 2005 in Aichi, Japan. From there, she moved to Simeon Diary Design Group in Chicago, where she worked until 2009. During that time, she has won multiple awards, which one of them was for her design work for the beautiful Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Chicago. Since Domilisium was founded in 2009 by Santi and her business partner Humphrey Teja, the firm has completed various design works for multinational clienteles, ranging from restaurant, office, to hotel projects. And finally, our third expert today is Yohannes Mochtar, who is the principal designer and founder of Renovatio Design Studio. He is based in Surabaya. The firm is a creative company providing interior architecture services for commercial projects and selected private residences. Yohannes graduated from Michigan State University, where he obtained his Bachelor of Arts in Interior Design and a Master of Science in Building Construction Management. Since he returned home, he has worked on several projects ranging from private residences to international hotel chains, office buildings, and apartment towers. So, without further ado, let's welcome each of our speakers today, Alex, Santi, and Yohannes. Let's start learning from Alex. Alex, please go ahead.
Good morning, Lina. Thank you for the introduction, and also thank you for the opportunity for us to share our view and our what we have done in the effect of COVID to our design industry. So let me just share my screen. Okay, as you know, we are actually at the unusual time. In our lifetime. This COVID happened to have a quite big impact to our life, our habit, our pattern. But we all know that this is not the first time this happened, and it won't be the last one also. We did have a Spanish flu in 1918. We got HIV, we got Hong Kong flu, we got swine flu. Well, we gone through all that, but the COVID did came in quite a big impactful. So if you look at the history, design industry actually was changed also because of pandemic, right? One example that happened was in 1933, Alva Arto and his wife Anio actually converted one building, designed a building called Pamio Sanatorium. During that time, all the building was quite dark, very classical, all that. And this sanatorium is actually to cure tuberculosis. And during that era, tuberculosis was cured by a lot of good air, a lot of sunlight, clean environment. So what they did is actually convert all this a very minimalist building, right? And that era actually are changing quite a number of design movement, which is the Bauhaus, the Corbusier. As you can see that Mies van Roo also in the House Plano, he elevated the building from the ground, which is unusual during that time. And the whole idea is actually to limit the humidity to the ground or the floor. And same with the Corbusier at Via Savoye here. Right. So we done a lot of residential, and the typical on the left here, I'm just looking at a graphic. The left side is actually the building. Sorry, hang on, something just popped in. Right. Hang on a second. Look on my screen now. Okay, the building on the left was actually how the residential is being constructed or designed usually. You got a big land and then you got big block of the building. The kitchen usually located at the back, right? We started converting a lot of building nowadays that creating a separate pavilion, right? The whole idea is actually separate the guest house or a room from the main house is for isolation. If just in case any member of the resident having a flu or sickness, doesn't have to be COVID or anything, they can be actually stay there to avoid contamination or contagious to other member. The other thing that we do that quite important was actually moving the kitchen to the front. I say we do a lot of receiving thing, you know, delivery, all that. The kitchen is one of the area that's being using as a receiving thing, and we actually move it to the front so people don't have to travel all the way to the back of the house. And this has been done in the States for quite some time, but this thing is getting back into popularity. And at the same time, by separating the building, we are actually injecting a cross ventilation. Plenty of sunlight. You got more window coming into the space, interior space. This is some of the plan of the building that we have done, but the problem is the building still under construction. You probably only can see by next year or the year after. One example here, the guest house, the gym, and entertainment room was placed on the back, which is a separate pavilion from the main house. The whole idea is giving you plenty of sunlight, a lot of cross ventilation, and second thing, which I mean, become an isolation corner. This is important also in aircon. Since the building is separated, the air condition will be detached from the main building. So you will not have the same airflow from the main building. That is actually very important in isolation situation. The other smaller building, residential that we done is actually, this one is a single story. We put the multi-purpose room on the back. The reason multi-purpose room is actually you can use for a lot of things. Can be a gym, can be another guest house, it can be an entertainment, or it can be even isolation, or even an office. The whole idea is use it as a multi-purpose. Right? Even at the entrance, we actually place a sink that actually you can wash. It's all being automated, so you don't have to touch anything. Right? It comes with even the tissue box to tissue to dry your hand. And kitchen, same thing, as I mentioned, is placed at the front, so all delivery will be received there, so without need to go all the way inside the house. And it has a separate entrance at the same time. So these are solutions that we are doing now. By separating the building or creating building in a lot of pocket air, you actually have a lot of cross ventilation and plenty of sunlight. And this is important in today's environment. I mean, having a big house is not really an ideal anymore, but having a good airflow, plenty of sunlight will be the next one that's going to see more and more. I'm not saying that it's not here already. It's been here, but it's going to see more in the future date. So, sorry, this one just show you where is the multi-purpose room, which is detached from the main house. Okay. And some project that we have done on the past years that actually have this kind of simulation. As I say, this is not the first time we're doing it, but of course there's a many type of house form that we have done. So this one, a resident that we happen to be done in Damawangsa, it's a 600 square meter land. What we have done here is create a pocket air. So the building is not creating one big block. The pocket air is actually influencing how the air has been flowed through the building, how the air going from the front to the back and go up. As the row of time, hot air rises, cold air go down. And the guest house and the gym was separated on the left of the building. The wet kitchen happened to be on ground floor that can be accessed from the garage itself, right? And as you can see, the house was creating a U shape, but the middle part was actually created as an open air. It's become an outdoor, so to detach the building. So it looks like a single building, but at the same time, it's separated, right? We elevate the building, so the living room on the second floor, leaving the garage and the amenity on the ground floor. So we even moved the pool and the garden on the second floor, creating its own pavilion. This is a completed building. You can see the second floor is actually located where the garden, the swimming pool, which we put on the glass facade, right? And the third floor are located just for the family member, right? The left side happened to be the guest house, which we can isolate separately. This is actually a view from the guest house looking at the living room side through the pool. As you can see from the dining area, you actually have a sliding door that you can open all the way, connecting to the outdoor balcony. And this is a covered balcony. So actually you can sit outside enjoying the rain without getting wet. This is actually, you are in the balcony. You can see the dining and the balcony patio happen to be connected. So we try to make the interior and exterior seamless. So you got all transparent connection. And all the sliding door can be opened widely, so you do have a cross ventilation. Both sides of the building always have window, right? This are looking at in the middle of the patio. You can see all the way to the tree on the back. windows are open without glass, so you have a cross ventilation air here. The guest pavilion on the left side. Even the garage, you can see that we actually have that pocket that you can even have a plantation on the left. So even the garage are not dark at all, right? And the corridor on the third floor also can see to the void, to the ground. This is the view entering the residence, right? This is the living room. We have a double volume to create a space, and you can see plenty of sunlight, right? Which is good for hygienic also. Right? Even the living room, you can open that the garden are connected, part of the indoor, right? The left and right all have a sliding door, so definitely you got a good ventilation coming here. The master bedroom, right? And even the bathroom, we can see the private garden in the bathroom, and you can see the sliding door can be open. Even the bathroom will have a good cross ventilation, right? Those are actually some sample that we have today. So I'll pass back to Lina. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. What an impressive house. When can I move in?
Well, we can ask the resident for that permission, right?
I think we have a lot of questions for you later, but I think I will save it for the end of the session. Let's move on to Santi. Santi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bulinagan. Thank you, At America, for having me. Today, I am going to share. Okay, hold on. Go. Okay. So I'm going to share about how I see as a professional, there are 5 things that is changing during the COVID-19 time this year. So number 1, what I see, there's a lot of need of having to have virtual space and physical space combined environment, because there's a lot of like working from home, there's a lot of like Zoom meetings going on, video conferencing. So this space is needed at homes and workspaces with adequate daylight and lighting, and as well as good acoustic environment. So in the past months, I see there's a lot of like also very home renovation and office renovation to accommodate these needs. And also in the market, I see there's a lot more work and living furniture concept with acoustic features, something that the kind of style that you can put in your home or either at work, or maybe making some a proper space for you to work at home. So last year, my Domilisium's sister company called DMDO, we launched this furniture line called Materium together with Materium. So Materium is our client. So the concept of this furniture line is basically we're merging the work and living furniture and lifestyle as well. So because we saw this happening in the horizon, and this is prior to COVID-19, this was launched in September 2019. And if you can see here, there's a lot of these lines are very soft, and the color palettes are very also pastel-y, and it has that really relaxing feel as well. And of course, it has to be stylish because we're targeting into like the millennials and maybe not some of the millennials. So this collection line has been doing really well. As you can see, you can flip from like this table here can be changed into a dining table, and then at night, and then you can work on it also actually during the day. As you can see, this is also an example of what you can do in a smaller space like an apartment, where you can have a little pod on the right for your private phone calls, and that little cocoony look, it creates a really nice acoustic feel and effect while you're doing your video conferencing. And which on the left, you can have a proper desk for work. Coincidentally,
just a year after this line's launch, iPhone 12 is also launched with the same color palette. So I think this is a really good coincidence. So you can pick any of these cards to match your iPhone. Number two, the things that I see that's also getting changing in interior design world is actually space planning and circulations and physical distance measures. There's more and more personal bubbles that people are actually trying to and out public area. Example are like spacing for queuing lines in banks, in malls, even in elevator cabs. Now people are they are acting differently than before the pandemic. Smaller group of people are actually they're trying to be having their own little groups while they're hanging out outside, uh, as well as this distancing sitting in on the F&B establishment. Better ventilation system for healthier indoor air quality and daylight exposure is also very important during this time, because we do not want to have very bad air just circulating in indoor. And as what Ibu Lina Gan said, we also wanted to experience more of the outdoor more than the indoor nowadays. So for the example is like this kind of like design. This kind of like personal domes for F&B establishment is designed by a French designer. Number three, we as interior designers, we have to rethink selections of materials and design with public health in mind. There's a lot of materials that were actually specified only for hospitality. Only specified only for hospitals and medical facilities. Nowadays, now research facing to just commercial places and also residentials. We wanted something that is antibacterial, easy to sanitize services, and also what is very important, also creating a very like soothing environment with beautiful color palettes with calming effects. Very nice. I think the trend is going towards like very soft like cream sands and pastels, because it has that really nice warming and calming effect in this very stressful time. Also, the usage of locally made products, such as locally products such as um, natural wood from locally sourced. They're actually the reason why they wanted something local, because it is better for economical value, because we don't know what will happen if the border will close again. So it's better for actually for us to use local material and resources for projects, especially for commercial projects. Touchless technologies and voice control for public facilitation, such as washroom and doors, is also implemented in a lot of like areas such as malls, uh, um, maybe schools. Well, there's schools, public schools are still like doing schools offline, and some other like offices, mostly office buildings, because we do not want to have more get in touch with services that is not unsanitary. So we just completed this project. It's a new office for a construction building material called Taco, and they are we're using a monochromatic color tone with really like soothing um, ambience and very nicer and good lots of daylight, because they needed this to have some great productivity. As we speak, actually they were adding more screens, those safety screens on in between the seatings, because they're doing like work from home 50-50%. Now they only have like each um, row, they only have several people instead of having it sitting full like this. But and we also provide a lot of like smaller conference rooms for them for Zoom meetings and whatnot. As you can see, we also have some privacy cubbies like over here. Those are for private phone calls and private Zoom meetings. As one of the a local supplier for building materials, they're also developing a lot of materials that is actually antibacterial, and a lot of these finishes actually used to be just, it looks very not natural, but nowadays with the good technology they can kind of mimic what it looks like for instance like marble or even wood. Number 4, there are new spaces for new functions. There are new spaces outside houses and offices as package pickup, drop off, and unpack area, as well as a cleaning area where people will wash their hand or even get sanitized before they get into a premise. So there's a need for to design and to redesign that area where before the pandemic it was just like a little just basically just a foyer, for instance, the foyer to the lobby. Nowadays, like we have the challenge to actually to create a hand washing facilities in the lobby area that looks very nice and very welcoming, not intimidating somehow. So that's one of the challenges. Also, maybe I don't know if you remember in back in the days, maybe during colonial time, there is a thing that's called the mudroom. Maybe this could be the rebirth of mudroom because mudroom is used to be positioned on the side of or on the back of a house or a manor or of a country house for people to come in when they have their to take off their muddy boots and their coats and their bags and they, after a day outside and they that's where they clean themselves before they get into the house. So I think that old tradition of having to have mudroom in houses could be a good coming back for residential as well. And also what I'm seeing that is really interesting also the need of more storages to keep emergency stashes, especially in the kitchen area, because who knows that we're gonna be in lockdown again. So there's a lot more and more renovation being done to create either it is a cellar or on the ground, or even like you creating spaces and nooks for you to keep your emergency needs. So if you wonder how does a mudroom look like, this is how a mudroom look like. This is where you come in and you just take off your boots and your coats and your belongings, and every cubbies will be designated for a different person. That's where you put all your belongings with before you enter a house. And usually next to this mudroom, there's always like a bathroom for you to clean with water. So number 5, the last thing that I see also, there's also an increase in new product developments as a response in COVID-19. Personal and public products for daily usage, such as masks, new design for sanitation stations, even gadgets for even for you to open doors in the public areas, to push buttons, elevator buttons, those little things. There's a lot of new interesting designs even for masks. Now there are many different kind of technology to use using to create that one perfect mask. And also what I'm really seeing interestingly, some of the developers, they're creating new residential concept which combines work and living concept. And I would like to share one of our latest work with this one of the biggest developer in Indonesia, which we find it pretty cool because it is something that is what we call the James Bond apartment, where you can actually change. It can change from day to night. So during the day, you can actually use the space for you to work, to for the kids to study, for basically daily activities such as like doing those meetings and whatnot. And then at night, you close down those tables and it's becoming a party place, a Netflix place where you can just gather around with your family and watch TV and enjoy the skyline of the city. And this is the day and night. During the day, you can work in it, and then at night, on the other side of the room, you can change it and flip it into a bed. So it could be another additional bedroom as well. On the master bedroom during the day, it can be used as the CEO or the CFO office, and you can have your chill out time at the back here. And during at night, you can turn off you can just flip the couch, the Murphy bed, into a really nice fluffy bed for you to sleep. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Santi. Very impressive. Again, very detailed. And I do notice a lot of new products are coming in to accommodate our needs now.
Thank you.
I believe there will be more questions for you and Alex, but because of time constraint, let's go to Yohannes first, and then later at the end of the session, we can answer all of the questions that are coming in. Yohannes, go ahead, take your floor.
Okay, thank you, Miss Lina. And thank you at America for this opportunity. So let me share my screen first. All right, so morning everyone. So the question that I'm trying to give perspective on today is how interior design is actually changing during this global pandemic, particularly in the public or commercial projects. I will discuss this particularly in connection with some hotels, apartment towers, or public access projects that we currently handle. There are 8 areas that are impacted by this pandemic that I would like to touch upon as shown on the list. And I believe some of them are actually been discussed by my peer, Santi, as well. So let's start with the first discussion. The fact that people still have to travel to conduct businesses during this challenging time is making us familiar with the term working far from home. Basically, this is the other side of the spectrum from work from home that many of us or many of you might have experienced during this time, and previously also presented by my peers. Since these people have to travel, one of the reasons being for business purposes, this is where the changes in hotel design play important roles. As design professionals, we ought to be more sensitive about how people are adapting with this so-called new normal way of living. As such, in hotel project that we are contracted, we shall be in compliance with the health regulations that are enforced, evaluating what people need nowadays, and sensitive with their psychology as well, since they are having to travel and working far from home. So for example, in regards to compliance with the health protocol in our hotel projects that we are handling, we designate a sanitation corner here at the hotel entrance, typically consisting of wash basin or automated disinfectant spray and body temperature monitor. But the point is, more specifically, we need to pay attention to the design. so that it doesn't merely look as an add-on. And it doesn't diminish the aesthetic look as well of the hotel facade. Some of you might have familiar with the complex design, might not have familiar with the complex design of commercial projects, but I'm trying to point out a few things. So on this particular is the layout for all the dining or the hotel main restaurant area. We also thoroughly think about the new layout of the new restaurant, aligned with the new way of serving meals. As we know that basically we get rid of the open buffet counter and self-serving style due to health and sanitary reasoning. So we provide also an emphasis on individual open kitchen or serving stations right here, so that the guests are still enjoying the bountiful choices of meals. However, F&B can still stick with health guidance. For those who are not familiar, open kitchens or serving station practically is a standalone cooking and preparing area that we can watch the staff and being served directly by the staff, and typically are divided and grouped by the type of foods or beverage served. So going back to the layout, we also provide more open planning, somewhat distance and versatility of seating arrangement. Instead of trying to cramping and maximizing the number of capacity of seatings, we can see a lot of open spaces here and more versatility basically for the management of the hotel to rearrange everything. Going into the design of the typical guest rooms in the hotel, since the trend of people spending more time in the rooms can still be efficiently working far from home, hence comfortable working space furnitures and good lighting are critical factor to be considered in the hotel design. Since some of the guests are also conducting businesses from the rooms, the need for soundproofing solutions and privacy, as well as technology venue that can support must be strongly provided. With this tendency of guests spending more time in the rooms, we can see that all the beautiful sitting area that we've created in the hotel rooms are finally being used. There's something nice about hanging out in the bedroom, actually. If there's not enough space for a sitting area, we might try to fit in a small sofa at the base of the bed instead of a bench to make it feels homier. That's what we did in our projects. Basically, anything that makes guests feel more at home and comfortable instead of stressing out or fearing this pandemic will ease and give a sense of comfort for hotel guests. In tune with making those guests feel more comfortable is about the idea of embracing Zen living. It is the second area that I'd like to touch upon, basically. Since the moment guests step into the hotel, we need to induce the relaxing and serene atmosphere. This is critical to set the mood of the guests so that they can enjoy the experience of staying in the particular hotel. So in this particular project, we set up the lobby. It's more like a resort style so that people can feel more at ease and relax as soon as they come into the hotel. As a consequence of this pandemic, sanctuary-like places inside commercial or public buildings will also become a trend. Thinking, for example, designing or designating a small relaxing and reading corners, somewhat private for that people or for the guests, they will appreciate it in the big lobby or common area. It makes them feeling more relaxed and welcome in the hotel. So we designate this area, it's more like private, secluded. The third area discussion is providing a healthier space. Basically, healthier space themselves are quite self-explanatory. We can see that hotels are also doing a lot of improvement in their air purifications indoor and air quality monitoring, new filtration systems. So, and some technology also can be adapted, such as auto cleaning technology that are integrated inside furniture, example, inside the wardrobes and cabinets. In bathroom design, these crises can bring a substantial rising demand for smart toilets, actually, that at the present are very common only in some countries such as Japan. Automatic cleaning faucets that we now see only used in some public restrooms could become a more common features in the hotels. Some of the elements that we need to pay attention in, and it is in our responsibility as well as a design professional, is to specify or select appropriate materials for the project. For example, we work with a company who is in the process of development of paint formula that supposedly the pigment will kill germs and viruses. We also have seen some company have also come up with new products that are easily cleaned and germ-resistant materials. So some of these materials have been selected for our projects to help the maintenance and the cleaning process of the hotel. We need to be educated about those materials available in the market and specify accordingly for the success of the projects during this challenging time. Fourth area that we touch upon relates to adapting technologies in our specification and design. Let's be honest, before we didn't have the need to avoid touching surfaces, right? We might have thought about like smart technologies were just something which made our lives easier and our spaces more trendier looking. But now we are considering how many hands can touch the doorknobs of our entrance, especially if we live in the apartment building or a hotel, for example, or touching the button of an elevator that we need to use it. That's why vocal control or motion sensor has really becoming a trend now to reduce the need for touching certain surfaces and helping to be more hygienic as well. This subject has been touched upon by Santi as well. We adopted this belief as well that the new spaces has been created for new functions in this pandemic. For instance, in this apartment project that we're currently working on, one of the things that has been absolutely accelerated is because of of this pandemic is for sure is online shopping, and consequently, of course, also home delivery. Therefore, in one of this particular apartment tower projects, we consciously designate actually a space that can receive deliveries where you can pack, unpack stuff, throw away or dispose the packaging without the need of bringing it up in upstairs or inside your living quarter. Next subject is going to be greenery, actually. After a quarantine or feeling confined inside a limited space, everybody will absolutely want to have a small garden or at least have a small terrace, but they can spend some time outdoor or feels like being outdoor or connected to the nature. We try to be conscious about this matter and coming up with a design concept of bringing outdoor, indoor. We explore new ways of incorporating greeneries inside the common areas. So as you can see from one of our design for a restaurant in the hotels, we see this vertical garden and indoor gardening already have a boom as a proven way to reduce our stress and to improve the air quality inside of our public spaces. Next, talking about the color trends that also has been discussed. This pandemic has certainly spurred a feeling of unrest, grief, and anxiety among people. So they are having a tendency to crave more colors that instill a sense of reassurance or comfort. From experience, I expect to see more gravitations toward hues that mimic the sensation of being in the nature. Warmer color is also trending as well for the ability to instill a sense of reassurance and comfort. These colors somewhat promote internal peace in an age where mental and physical well-being are critical. Last area for discussions, what do we mean by local is better? We are facing through some challenging times in material supplies and everything, especially for commercial project, it has to be pre-planned far ahead in time. I see the trend that we see the government efforts to restore the economy. So by giving benefit or incentives toward local productions, they have more cutting edge or better productions. In our project, we also incorporate local productions for reasoning to gain control over the lead time and procurement in these somewhat uncertain import issues. So we have to deal with a lot of issue problem with the import material availability, and hence we go to the other route. We start looking at the utilizing or incorporating like a local productions, for instance, like a synthetic rotant and some craftsmanship that could be done locally as well. So lastly, my hope is that the pandemic is going to be it's not going to last forever, but it will certainly have an impact on the long term of our psychology. One thought come across my mind was that people will finally understand the importance of a good design practices. Designing our space is not just about making pretty stuff, as we know. It is a matter of improving quality of life and bringing wellness into a space. I wouldn't be surprised of some of the best work done in a long time happens in the near future. One thing that we can count on, there will be a lot of innovation in our industry as a result of these challenging situations. Thank you. So I'll give it back to you, Ms. Lina.
Thank you, Yohannes. A very stunning design, a lot of colors. I think everyone is ready to go on holiday. So the next time we'll go on traveling, we look forward to staying in one of your hotel design. Okay. We have now Vivi and at America team and all of the designers. We have few questions already coming in. I think the first question should be for Alex, since this is about presidential questions. So here you go, Alex. Hello, how can I make my living space more spacious or appear more spacious? Also, how can I make it appear brighter or more fresh?
Mas Alex, you're still muted.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay. So the best way actually, if you can have plenty of window, obviously it's going to be brighter. That's the easiest way. But if you happen not to have it, we usually lighting is another way. But instead of lighting shooting down, I shoot up to the ceiling. Provided the ceiling is a light color or bright or white, it will bounce and create this illusion of brighter. For creating a bigger space, placement of furniture is very important. How do you put or position the furniture? Obviously, you try not to do a lot of things that high or blockage. I think our eye is based on 1.5 high. So if you can clear a lot of things based on that, you will have that impact of seamless, right? Best answer, more window. You can see all the way, like just my background, right? But if not, then lighting and the position of furniture, lighter color, those are help. That's
okay,
all.
Thank you, Alex. I hope that answers that questions. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Alex in his office. Again, lots of windows, a lot of air coming in. Stunning office. I myself have been there, so hopefully someday everybody can go and see your office, Alex. Impressive office.
Anytime.
The second question is for Santi. Santi, you mentioned that due to COVID, office spaces and restaurants will start to use antimicrobial materials or something that is easy to clean. Can you give us an example of those materials? So there you go, Santi.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of these materials usually, like for instance, for the floor, some of the flooring materials back then, like especially with ceramics, you're using a lot of like what you call it, not ito, where you put all together. Oh my God, I forgot the English word of not. Basically,
Grouting.
grouting. There you go. Thank you, Pa Alex. Grouting. So there's not they're trying to avoid a lot of the material that use a lot of grouting, because grouting is a place for bacteria to grow, and it's really yucky. So there's also like material that you can actually just using a lot of like terrazzo. Okay, terrazzo is a really good material because it's upcycled material from crushed marble. You can mix it with either cement or other like some kind of like material that's a little bit more flexible, so it wouldn't get cracked like the old terrazzo, and they will like basically make the whole surface very smooth, and it creates this really nice and clean surfaces. It's an old material that's being used again with different formula, with better formula, as well as countertops. For countertops, they're using it more and more countertops that is used for not only marble. Well, marble is very good example, but in some places they cannot really afford it for any commercial places. Especially they use a lot of them. So they're using something like corian, something that is actually more like man-made or engineered material, hard surfaces that doesn't has any pores, so there's no bacteria that can actually live in between you know the holes. The surface.
Thank you, Santi. I hope that answered his questions. For the third, this is for Yohannes. Actually, this is I think more for the hotel management, but Yohannes, please try to answer it from an interior design angle. Okay? For hotels, other than omitting the buffet style dining experience, are there any other ways that the hotel can offer to cater to the guest safety and needs for dining?
Yes, actually there are. So I've seen actually some hotel management or F&B has tried to schedule like allotted time. So for instance, when they check in, when the guests are checking in, they would ask like uh, allotted time for breakfast. This is for one way to offer like to avoid like overcrowding, during a peak hour during breakfast, for instance. So during that certain allotted time, they will be able to enjoy breakfast with the more distant and social distancing because of the less capacity of the people. And also, uh, uh, I've seen like some during certain break uh, that we can also utilize this UV lighting. However, UV lighting can be also very dangerous. So UV lighting is also can be operated during when there is no existence of people or the staff, meaning that it's just for a break. They will sterilize basically all the cleaning surfaces and all the surfaces in the restaurants and everything. So we need to place those components and integrate it in our design as well. So.
Okay.
And one more thing, we see the trend that because of it's slightly different with the during the long weekends or holidays or something. We see a lot of people going to stay at the hotels because vacationing and everything that's not supposed to. However, during non-holidays, we see a lot more solo traveler. Basically, a lot of people that is just travel because of they have to conduct businesses, as I previously mentioned. So we also design the seating towards more like single user using high table or individual corners or two chairs or flexibility instead of like using like a big family styles banquet that accommodate more people, so those separations but still need can be very flexible by combining two table together to make it like a bit to accommodate more people.
Okay, great. Thank you, Yohannes, for the answers. Now, the fourth question is for every one of you. So I think Alex will go first, and then Santi, and then you, Yohannes. The question is, what kind of design style that have been mostly requested by your clients during the pandemic? So Alex, you can go first.
Okay. Well, actually, not only just pandemic. Before pandemic, this is already start happening. We noticed that on the last year, 2 years ago, the design actually getting more contemporary. People are streamlining. I guess that's also because of the generation changing. You're actually shifting from the next generation coming in, which is they used to be the 20th, are become the 30th. They are the one that can afford house. They are actually start taking the management of company. They are the one that start requesting. So there is a shifting. It's getting cleaner. The reason I use the word cleaner is not as intricate detail like classical. We do get a little bit of requests that modern, contemporary, classic, all that, but it's still on the cleaner pattern. So it gets simpler. What's the word? All right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. From you, Santi?
Well, it's quite interesting because there's two kinds or two sort of like two kinds of group. That one group wanted something that is very clean, very Scandinavian, very elegant, and very airy. And also there's another one that wanted something that has to do with the reminiscence of the good old days, like in you're living in a cottage. That's a new thing. There's a hashtags in Instagram called cottagecore. So where a lot of people they're liking things that are actually reminiscing like how people used to live back then in a country house, in a farm, where they live in the open, very close to the nature. How there's a lot of textures, there's a lot of nature, natural finishes in the house, natural textile, and yeah, very it's simple, like simple, good old day times. I think there's this two different group that is going on right now because this one is more the romantic one, the cottagecore, the one who is really like thinking about having to have a good life with the nature, and the other one is the like very urban, clean, and airy Scandinavian look.
Okay, good. Back to nature.
Yeah.
Yes. Now from you, Yohannes.
I kind of, I mean, I do agree with both of my peers, basically. So I see the trend from the style that a lot of my client or our clients actually has requested. It's basically because we are dealing with commercial projects. So first of all, so that means we are dealing with a big budget. It's always about budget. And as we know that during this pandemic, cost of things are increasing because it takes more time to import it or to produce it nowadays are more challenging, basically. So we have to come up with some kind of style that basically interesting, millennials looking, and however, it's very cost friendly, maintenance friendly, as well as trendy. So in that regards, for instance, like anything that has capacity of becoming more millennial trends or selfieable that becomes a huge factor or becomes huge. There's a huge demand for commercial spaces because a lot of people, when they go out, they tend to enjoy themselves. They want to take a selfie. They want to post it in the Instagram and everything or social media. So they want things that are very applicable to that. The one that can be posted on social media, but that doesn't need to be touched or has to be maintained a lot for it. So, but practically to answer your question, it's also the style is basically contemporary, more contemporary millennials.
Okay, there you have it. Okay, the next question. This is also for all of you guys. In Indonesian, it is apa tantangan terbesar di industri interior design dan architecture selama pandemi? So basically, what is the biggest challenge in architecture and interior design during the pandemic? So Alex, you can go first.
Our side will be material. I mean, we got a lot of halting of material. That's why what Santi and Yohannes was explaining, using localized. So a lot of things have to be resources localized. Everything on the delivery get delayed. That's one of the things. That's what caused the delay on the project. And of course, during that time, social distancing means there's not much work. There's not much worker allowed to be on site and a certain site. So that also caused the timeline get shipped back, right?
Okay. And for you, Santi?
Well, yeah, it's quite similar, but in a way, I see this as an opportunity for us to actually, as local designers, we have to be more creative and like maybe working together with a lot of vendors, like trying to like solve this problem, how and developing new products even from our local materials. Yeah, I see this as an opportunity, not only materials, also actually one of the other thing that is quite challenging is when you have to do presentation with material. I think it's easier for you to actually to be face to face with the client, so we can talk to them directly and for them to touch and feel the material. That's something that we actually we took for granted back then when before from COVID-19, because that's a really important process from design. I think that's one of the challenging. So we have to be very smart about when we're presenting on the Zoom and then we're sounding over the material. Then I think that's the challenge, and how to train your team to be able to present better on, virtually.
Yeah, I agree. I can understand.
Yeah.
Finally, Yohannes, what are the biggest challenge?
On top of those topics that my peers have mentioned, uh, I will touch upon the surviving our own business. Basically, that's one of the challenges for designer and architects. Basically, how they can survive their business during this pandemic. One thing that I could share is uh, basically maintaining a relationship with the clients. Long-term relationship with client is very critical, meaning that we have to give an extra. We have to give an extra attention to the client. We have to understand where they're coming from, what they are sensitive about, what their needs are, especially what the challenges what they are facing during this pandemic. So by being sensitive about that, it's proven to be quite helpful because we can come up with a solution that are creative, but also at the same time giving solutions to clients' issue or problem, and that will help maintaining a relationship and surviving our business as well in this pandemic.
Yeah, thank you, Johannes, for bringing that up. I think many industries got hurt badly during this pandemic, and hopefully all of us can stay in the business, survive, and then when the pandemic is all over, everybody's building. The next question is again for all of you guys. This question isn't specifically for COVID, but what was the most interesting project that each of you have done during your professional time? So, Alex, if you can name a project that really interested for you.
Well, we did few. I think exhibition is one of the interests that we can explore more. I mean, we did, I think 2 years ago, actually we did few. We did for Fritz Hansen, the carousel that can rotate for exhibition. We also did Alice in Wonderland that we use a very surreal effect to portray the message. Actually, this year we have another one, but it got postponed probably to next year due to COVID also. But exhibition, yeah, because there's no rule. We can't. We are able to explore our creativity and the joy of having without any boundary, right?
Okay, how about you, Santi? What is the most interesting project that Domilisium Studio or yourself have done?
Well, we just completed our first design for this, our first time designing convention. It is a convention hall. It is a church. It is also that has Sunday school and everything that has to do with the church, and it's a banquet hall all in one. It's the JPCC Church Sutra Hall in Alam Sutra. So I think that's really interesting because it was our first time ever doing such a project, designing a hall, having to learn about acoustic system, having to learn about the lighting, things that we never touched before. And there's a lot of complexity in it, and it involves so many different kind of consultants and teams. I think that's one of the latest one that we think it's a really big learning curve, and we're very happy with the result. It's actually already open, but because of the COVID-19, it's not hasn't been really in use well yet.
Yeah, good to know. How about you, Yohannes?
I'll try to answer it more in general way because I feel like the question is asking me who's my favorite child, basically. So, but I treat it like every project is quite interesting and challenging for me. However, my most interesting and challenging project are actually hotel projects because hotel project is quite complex, and we have to deal not only with the aesthetic value of it, the aesthetic value of it. However, we also have to understand the flow of operational, the management, the operational of the hotels, and then the engineering, maintenance. So we have to completely understand that as a designers, to be successful. So, in short, basically, my hotel projects really teach me a lot, basically, and I learn a lot from my hotel projects.
Okay, thank you, Yohannes. Alex, Santi, and Yohannes, we still have few questions. Hopefully, we still time still allowed. So let me read another question. This is again for all of you guys because this is quite crucial. This is for our children in the future. The question is, how about schools? Should they also change their design or their building materials due to the situation? So, Alex, can you maybe perhaps advise what you think about?
We can't run. Well, okay, we cannot run away from this issue. Yes, there will be adaptation. There will be a lot of new material coming in, and educator, teacher, all that. Yes, it's good for them to start exploring what's new. As I will mention, we are working few product. Copper is another material that is going to get very popular because of the characteristic of the material itself that is easily to eliminate bacteria compared to stainless steel. And steel, which we have been using for a long time, as charts changing. You're going to see this more and more in the future. As Santi mentioned just now, Korean, which we have a long time ago, synthetic material, all are coming in more and more often. Yes, historically, we already seen that. The building used to be classic. But because of pandemic, we are cleaning it up, and through time there will be adjustment. Yes, it will get a more cleaner, simpler due to that this issue also. It will take time, but it will go through that direction. Right?
Yeah, very useful information. Thanks, Alex. How about you, Santi?
I think yes, absolutely. Any educational institution will need to have really good building materials that is actually safe for the kids, for the children, for everyone. It's easy to clean. You can just basically throw in Clorox and it will not get damaged and will be clean for everyone. They can get clean like several times in a day. So I think it's quite a must for a lot of institution, not only education but any other public areas and spaces, even malls.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Good, that's a good point. Yeah.
and yeah, on offices where there's a lot of people gather.
You come in and go. Yeah, that's true. And all
Yeah,
public places, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
Including.
it's really crucial that we need to pay attention to that.
Yeah. Hmm. How about you, Yohannes?
I mean, I'm pretty much agree with what Santi just said, basically. And the thing is that coming up with the design or materials that help to uh, be maintained, easy to be maintained or easy cleaned, is playing quite important role actually in the educational system. So also technology by introducing like technology limited because nowadays they have to limit the number of the peoples like for instance like the nanny that has to normally take the kids to the or the parents that normally comes to the school as well. So because of that reasons, so how do we deal with that? Maybe security monitoring, because I've seen some products that has been shown for schooling systems to help with this coping with this pandemic actually. So yes, basically we have to deal with the technologies, material selections, and the system.
Interesting. Thank you, Yohannes. I'm learning a lot as we go here. It's like I'm in the lecture in the university. So I hope all of our viewers are benefiting from this talk show. Another question is that about colors. Santi mentioned about pastel colors. So what you guys think of the new trend that will be booming soon? Anyone of you can go first, or Alex can go first in terms of colors.
Well, lighter color, yes. Santi brought up pastel, lighter color. Something soothing was the word. I think the word is soothing. Something make you calm. That will be what we see more. We do have an injection of stronger color. There was a green was happening, but I will see they will be shifting after this pandemic. Apparently, this pandemic changed changed a lot of game. So you see more of adaptation toward this, right? People want to something that to cool them down.
Right? Soothing color like earth colors, maybe, yeah.
Earth color, light gray. I mean, those are the color that and maybe mellow color, depend on the flavor that your preference. But either way, the word is soothing color. So you can do a still neutral color, or you want to do colorful but toward the mellow color.
Yeah. I think so. Soothing helps. It's in a time of stressful like this.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you, Santi?
Yeah, I pretty much agree. But it like those natural, neutral, soothing colors with warmer tones, and also there's a lot of like some freshness. Also, I see in the horizon. There's a little bit of fresher like different kind of blues. It's more like a lighter blue that's very crisp kind of blue that has that really nice and calming effect, but freshness at the same time. Same thing with the green. It's a different kind of green, more like a crispness kind of green, almost like a very light pistachio green color, and combined really nice earthy beige or yeah, beige color and cream, something that is very warm and soothing. It's like a big warm hug.
Oh, thank you, Santi. How about you, Yohannes? You have the same opinion or you have different
Uh,
taste?
Perhaps Santi's heart could be like a trending color as well. You know, this iPhone color.
Actually, yeah, I predicted that like a year ago.
Good prediction. Yeah, good move.
Well, from our experience in the projects, you know, there is a gravitations toward like a color that mimic actually the sensation of being in the nature. So, as Alex has mentioned, uh, green is quite popular. You know, tones of greens, but also I've been quite successful with the warmer colors because warmer colors tends to be really trending nowadays. With I believe because they have the ability to like instill a sense of reassurance somewhat and make people more homey or comfortable. The warmer color.
Okay. Thank you all. Very interesting answers. One more questions. This is about acoustic. Maybe to all of you, but let me read it first. How can we improve on the acoustic of our personal spaces? And do acoustic play a big part in smaller rooms compared to big halls like the one Santi mentioned? So perhaps Alex can go first about acoustic in personal spaces and big rooms
Actually,
compared to small.
acoustic play very important role in interior space. It's about human behavior, human psychology. We done a mall. There's quite a number of mall we have done. Kota Casablanca, Gandaria, Surabaya Tunjungan Plaza, Super Mall, all that. What we noticed throughout the year, we have injecting acoustical panel to the ceiling, and we did see the difference before and after. When we renovated the Tunjungan Plaza 3 and 4, it was an old mall that's already 20 years ago, right? We noticed that the comfort level of people shopping, the shopping experience are better when we install that acoustical panel. So we're talking about large scale. So yes, of course, if you feel comfortable, you tend to shop. So the whole idea, yes, as long as you're comfortable, you induce a good thing, right?
Thank you, Alex. How about you, Santi?
Yes, I think either it is a small space or a big space. I think to have a nice, comfortable level of acoustic is very important because it does have it has to do with your well-being as a human being. Um, People tend to feel think they can think clearly and they behave better when the ambience is more quieter, not so much distracted with so many noises, especially with living in Jakarta. Before pandemic, everything is so loud. Jakarta is so crazy loud and it gets people crazy. And sometimes I just want to stay in a place where it's just very calming, very nice. There's no voice where you can just even think and do your work and be focused in whatever you do in everyday life. So I think it's especially very important in homes even. Well, with acoustic in homes, it's actually a bit easier because you can provide really we can provide it from like you putting more like upholstered more furniture, or maybe even window covering, window treatments, or even padded walls, or even you know, just something softer that actually can actually give that nice and warm feel as an additional as plus with acoustic. I think that it's really because human and naturally human likes to be in a cocoon, right? So we if to have a nice comfortable space to live in, cozy space, a cocoon is what you need. Even in public spaces, you need to have public spaces cocoons.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Thank you, Santi. Yeah.
Thank
How
you.
about you, Yohannes? Since you design many hotels, you know.
For me, acoustic is definitely plays a big important role actually in our design decisions, because well, in a commercial space like a hotel, privacy, soundproofing is very, very critical, because we don't want to hear what our neighbors or the guests next door are being loud about, So we need our own privacy and everything like that. And also, we see that a lot of trends nowadays, people are working from home. So it is also critical to have some kind of soundproofing or insulation as well, because, you know, uh, people work from home. They are doing a Zoom meeting. They don't want to have the kids running around or being loud. They need to separate like a room that provide those kind of a barrier basically. And however, uh, in designing, actually, sound insulation can be achieved by simply material selections. It doesn't have to be specifically like a acoustical panel or anything like that, but also anything with the soft material like fabrics, draperies, rug or carpet will definitely help, you know, uh, absorbing sounds instead of a room that has a lot of hard material such as like a stainless steel, metal, or anything like that, or glass. It will be bounce around. So just the combination or the balance of material selections. Unless if we are specifically for needing a soundproofing, then we go with the acoustical panel.
Yeah, I think it's very crucial, especially in hotel rooms. I agree. Yohannes, since we are talking about hotel, this question is for you, but Alex and Santi, please jump in if you have more information or additional thought to it. The question is, what do you think will attract tourists more into hotel in the future? A more beautiful design or a more functionalistic design, like having a more private functional area, pool, gym. Again, this is due to the pandemic. So, Yohannes, there you go.
To answer that question is definitely both. Well, this time is quite challenging for hotels, as we know that they are running in the lower capacity of staffing basically. And so we see the trend that some hotels actually turning off their electrical lighting or anything like that, just to be able to save cost. That's what they think. However, I think it's that I disagree with that actually, because there's some kind of a study that's done by engineering society actually, that actually the cost of electrical or lighting is actually very low, because we already used LED lighting that is using basically it's very, very efficient. But the biggest cost for a hotel actually is coming from those generators, motors, that's running. So trying to manage those is a lot more critical than turning off the lights. That makes the hotel looks darker, looks uninviting. You know what I mean? So in answer to that question, basically we still have to make our hotel look appealing, and attracting and welcoming. However, also providing some kind of comfort, sanctuary for people to get away. But also, since people are becoming more individualistic nowadays, so if they can provide also support what the guests are needed. For instance, if they just want to stay in the room, they want to have the comfort or doing their work in the room or something like that, it has to have the technology and also the design that support that functions, so that they can perform basically.
Okay, very insightful, Yohannes. How about you, Alex and Santi? Both of you also have experiences in designing hotels. Do you have any other additional thoughts about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you go ahead first.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No, you go ahead
comfort.
first. You go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, comfort equals luxury. That's in me. that's what I in my notebook, right? Comfort is number one, even though it's not, maybe the design is not being made with such a like very luxurious material, but when it is comfortable, what I mean by comfort is actually where you have the right kind of temperature, AC temperature, the right kind of lighting and daylight, the right kind of like furniture with the right kind of like ergonomically sound furniture sizes and all that stuff, and everything that you need actually having to you have it in your own room without having to try to struggle trying to look for that one outlet for you to plug your cell phone, stuff like that. Everything, when everything is provided within your reach, I think comfort is number one, especially with this COVID-19 era. We are actually more we are actually for hotels, it's better if you concentrate in renovating the rooms for those comforts, because again, these hotels also sometimes becoming the places for the quarantine, the 14 days quarantine time, right? So that way you are actually stuck in the hotel room when there's no comfort. It's like it's almost felt like you're in a prison. So I think that's really important for hotels, and this is the best time to do renovation actually.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. How about you, Alex? Yeah.
Okay, to me, it's actually experience. Actually, I mean, the future of hotel actually is about the experience. How do you experience a space? I mean, beauty is relative. Beauty is on the eye of the beholder. But having a future hospitality, how do you have a new experience or space that encouraging the person want to be there or stay there. Of course, the comfort, all that will have to coming in. Next thing that I will see a lot more is actually a control by the guests. How do you control the space? Like today, the new hotel will have a seal at the door, which is hardly we do it. So everything has go opposite direction today. That you need to have control that the room already sanitized, which means the seal kind. You break the seal yourself. You know it's been cleaned. So those are what I see more and more in the future of the hospitality, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Yohannes, Alex, and Santi. So much information going on here. My mind is growing with so much new lesson I learned today. I think due to the time constraint, we can only answer one more questions. And after this, I think each of you can give some closing statement. So the last question is, since each of you have experience living in America, can you share with us how resident style there different from Indonesian houses? Yeah. So Alex, since you're on the screen, you can go first.
Okay. Well, obviously size. I mean, Indonesian house is huge. I mean, compared to in the state. Of course, we know some area and range are big, but the building size here is a lot bigger. And I'm saying, okay, for the super rich in states, I know they have a lot of room, but the size of the room in Indonesia is gigantic. That's what the first thing that I noticed different.
Yeah, I agree. We like bigger rooms, bigger bathrooms. Yeah.
Huge
Anything
was
from
the word.
huge,
Yeah.
yes. And also, I think Indonesian like to build as big as possible on the land. They don't want to kind of frugy or loose, by use on the land size. Yeah. How about you, Santi?
Yeah, I think one thing that me and Humphrey we always like making a little bit inside joke about this is like orang Indonesia sukanya plong. You can see everything like a lapangan bola, like well in the US you like things to be compartments. Even though you have a really big house, you have nice little compartments of rooms and very comfortable with different ceiling heights for different kind of different experience. Over here people like want houses with like 4 to 5 meters ceiling heights, and which is very during a hot day it takes a lot of energy to cool down the room, where in the States, ceiling heights are not that high. I mean, it doesn't take that much time to and that much energy to keep the room warm or cool during summertime or winter. I mean, conserving energy is something that is they really pay attention with. And then same thing with the windows over there is actually they have double glazing windows to actually seal the temperature of the interior temperature from the outside temperature. So I think
Yeah.
that's what really the difference about us, how the way we treat energies.
Yes. Especially they have four
Um,
seasons here. We only have
right.
basically summer and rain. So,
Exactly. And it's
yeah.
really expensive. Electricity is not like in Indonesia.
Yeah, but I think for many Indonesian, big is luxury. Yeah, like you said, the
Yeah,
plum feeling is wow. You know.
right.
Yeah. But finally, you, Johannes.
For me, it's about the culture, basically. The different of like a cultural difference. Like in the States, I see people gravitated towards more like an open kitchen arrangement. They like to entertain, so the focal of entertaining actually is more happening in the kitchen. Unlike in Indonesia, they have what's called living room, guest room. Guest room doesn't mean bedroom. I mean ruang tamu kita bilangnya ruang tamu. This kind of concept is actually it's unknown in the States because they tends to welcome people and they tends to entertain people out of the kitchen as well. So that's some of the big differences. And also a matter of taste. It's not about which one is better, but it's just different tastes. For instance, like wood materials. Uh, Westerners are gravitated towards more like a natural looking, natural grained, while in Indonesia, it tends to go with a safer, plain, similar. So if they have like a spot or something like that, they say, oh, it's defect. And while in the States, they claim it as it's natural. It's good because it's different, that kind of thing. So.
Oh, yeah. I noticed that. Yeah, many Indonesians like to have a bling bling colors too in their
Yeah.
house. You know? And I also noticed what you said, ruang tamu or guest room or living room, not really being used effectively now. You know, when we welcome people to our house, usually we sit down at the dining table area or we call it family room, ruang keluarga. Yeah, yeah. So they're slightly different than American, I would say, floor plan. And also, I noticed in America, a lot of people use carpets. Yeah, maybe because of the four seasons again. In Indonesia, very rarely people use carpet in their homes. Okay, that I think that should close our talk today. I just want to ask from Alex, Santi, and Yohannes, do you have any closing statement for all of our viewers? Anything related to design and pandemic now that we have not mentioned earlier? Anything at all that comes to your mind before we end? Before I hand over this to the American team?
May I go first? Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
please.
Alex.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, as a designers and design professional, basically, we are accustomed to putting like human needs and uh, their 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 wanting first. In this brave new world, we'll see that the skills and abilities of designing its effort to us is by being able to empathize, to have a curiosity, creative, patience, having common sense, in solving a lot of the issues that happens during this pandemic, and just doing a lot of problem solving. I think those kind of skills that we as a designer have will be more crucial than ever needed. Go ahead.
How about you, Alex or Santi?
You
Alex
first.
Okay, so I think this pandemic time is a really good time for us internally to develop more design, as in like, and also material. We can think about something locally and develop something that is never been done before and never been touched. Um, for instance, I have a friend who's actually developing this vegan leather made from mushroom, which is very interesting, right? And it's very green. So there's a lot of opportunities to do green material, more newfound material locally. And I think this is the right time to do it because we would like to just use and specify local materials instead of things that are actually imported nowadays. So I think this is a very exciting time.
I agree. Going local again and more
Yep.
natural. Yeah. So finally, Alex, you got to close
Being a
the.
designer, uh, being a designer, obviously our work is involved all about the design, solving solution and solving all the problem. And well, in this pandemic time, not only just a doctor that's being used as an important role here, designer actually are working a lot more involvement in solving our living. Our job is about human living as a space. So how we solve this spatial problem and our contribution to the society to make a better living. I will say there will be a lot more younger designer come up with a lot more a new trend or style that we probably didn't know it before the COVID. Say the COVID speed up a lot of things. We also entering number four industrial revolution suddenly, which is supposed to be probably happening in the next 10 years later, but it suddenly speed up. It's happening right now. So we're going to see a lot more invention, especially design and technology will suddenly merging into one, right? So yeah, we are welcome to see all more of all this new product, new robotic will coming in a lot faster also this time.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Santi, and thank you, Yohannes, and at America, and to all of our viewers. I don't know about you guys, but I really learned a lot today, and I'm very. I believe due to this pandemic, a lot of amazing or great buildings or interior design will come in Indonesia. And having said that, also the local materials will be fully being used and utilized in many applications of exterior and interior. I think that should sum up our talk today. I'm going back to Fifi at America.
Thank you, our moderator, and also all of our special speakers for today's event. Thank you for sharing the great session with Ad America TV. So, back again with me, Fifi, guys. So, back to our question that I gave you earlier in this event. The question is, which American designer is known for their prairie style? Unfortunately, no one can answer the question, but it's okay. I'm still gonna give you the answer, and the correct answer is D. Frank Lloyd Wright. Okay, so I want to say thank you to everyone who has participated to our event for this morning. So don't forget to follow our social media account. We have our Instagram account, Twitter account, Facebook account at AT America. And also you can check all of our events and about Ad America at our website at www.atamerica.or.id. And one more thing, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining with us today. See you next time on Ad America TV. Bye!